It's telling us we are live on Facebook now. Fantastic. So this is interesting. We actually, this is my second, I think my second or third time going live on Facebook, and it's actually worked. So fantastic. We're here, COVID Communities number 6, talking to Sergio and Mike about their experiences dealing with COVID-19 and everything that's been going on. So we're going to go ahead and we'll start with you, Sergio, and then Mike. Take a few minutes, just introduce yourself. Let us know, a little bit about yourself and who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay then. So my name is Sergio, and I work for a company called Stater Brothers, which is a grocery store chain, mainly located in the state of California. They haven't branched off to any other state. What I do from there is that I work as a courtesy clerk, which all I do really is just bag up people's stuff, help, and clear out the grocery carts out from the parking lot, put them back in the store, and then sometimes have to sweep up the floors, things like that. And as for me as a person, I'm just a normal guy who's just trying to go through this without, having people like haggling me, like, just telling me, oh, you got to wear your mask, got to wear your mask. I mean, I have to now because my workplace has made it mandatory for me to wear my mask, which luckily I have secured. Actually, funny thing is with me, when it comes to the medical masks, I got a few secured from a liquor store. I kid you not.
Wow.
I kid you not. No, I actually got about 10 medical masks from a liquor store from a nearby city close to mine, and surprisingly, they still had enough to spare. But again, I actually got some from a liquor store, which again I would never have expected to get.
I remember, I remember from my time out in California, there's various liquor stores or corner stores or whatever you'd walk into, and some of them, honestly, it looked a little bit like the old general store. I'm not surprised that you could find a mask in some of those places. So, Mike, how about you? A little bit about yourself.
I live in north central West Virginia in Marion County in a city called Fairmont, and I work as a pest management professional. I'm an inspector for a pest management company. And I spend a lot of time in people's houses, believe it or not. Here, even with the epidemic or pandemic, rather, that's going on, there's a surprising number of people who still want pest management services, although our business is down considerably, from a typical. We do take a lot of measures before we go into someone's house. We do sanitize our boots, put on booties, put on gloves, wearing a mask, respirator, all the PPE that we basically need. So some people are receptive to having you in their house. Some people just let you, treat the outside of their house and continue on. And some people don't want you anywhere near the house, just kind of depending on what level of, I want to say paranoia, but they have. But it definitely has had an impact on us, for sure. Yeah. And a lot of the local businesses as well.
Yeah, we've actually had some professionals come out. We're getting evaluated for putting in a natural gas generator, a backup generator for our home. We had a small tornado come through, took out didn't hurt our house, but it took down a bunch of trees and basically took out power for 3 or 4 days. And this is I'd say probably every year or two, we have an incident where it's an ice storm or a windstorm or something like that. So we finally decided to bite the bullet, and they were very responsive and told us that normally they would have had to schedule something a lot further out, but they were dealing with not a whole lot of requests right now. People are kind of hunkering down. Yeah. So I'll ask you guys to start off with, how has the whole COVID-19 situation affected you with the way, not just professionally, not just with your job, but with with your family, with your community? How has it changed the way that you're living your life right now? We'll go ahead and start with you, Mike, if you don't mind.
Well, we haven't really been able to see my wife's parents. They're in their 70s. So that's been a little rough. We're a fairly tightly knit family. My daughter is pregnant and due in August, so we've kind of been.
Congratulations.
No, thank you very much. We're going to be having a little grandson, which is he broke the family curse. There was nothing but girls in the family for the longest time, so broke that curse. But no, we really haven't been able to spend a lot of time with her, which is pretty much killing my wife. But it's been a little hard because we're used to going out to family dinners and hanging out and playing board games and whatnot. We're not able to do that now, and depending on how you want to look at the situation, that could be over with here shortly, or as some areas want to do, we're not going to keep everything locked down for 18 months. So with all the uncertainty, and I hate to use that term because that's all you hear in commercials these days, are in these uncertain times, ...
Yeah.
It does stink that we're not able to spend as much time together. My wife's getting, I think, a little stir crazy working from home, and I'm just thankful that I'm out of the house and we're not on top of each other constantly. So
Yeah, that's actually I had my brother get in touch with me yesterday, and I was worried that there was something, might be something wrong. He's like, hey, can we do a Zoom call? And it turns out he was just trying to figure out, get things set up for Zoom, and he wanted to talk and for the kids, the cousins to see each other, and my kids and his kids to say hi again, and it's really surprising just how starved you can get for human contact, even with your family around you.
Yeah.
So Sergio, how about you? What's been life like out in Southern California? That's you're the first person I've talked to from there, in this sort of format. So, give us the full scoop. What's going on?
Okay, so in my particular area, so what happens is that when it comes to in my particular portion of California, it's because I've heard a lot of stories about how certain cities and certain states, they're much more draconian when it comes to their COVID-19 protocols. As for me and for my hometown, it doesn't seem very draconian. Although I have a, what is it? We in my neighborhood more specifically, we have a police cruiser usually parked out where there was going to be a mental hospital built right next to our neighborhood. They have a cruiser there parked out there, which I'm guessing it's to scout out anybody who's like violating any COVID-19 protocols, like not wearing your masks or anything, because it is mandatory now to go and wear your mask while you're outside. So for me personally, it's affected me in the sense where it just it pains me and annoys me where I can't go to any restaurant that I want and socialize with people, because I'm a bit of a social bug, and I like to talk to people, get to know them, and so on and so forth. And so when it comes to that, it just feels so annoying to be blocked off from any sort of human contact inside of different places that you normally would like to go, like either restaurants or even movie theaters. Even then, it's very annoying to deal with that sort of thing. And so, and it's not just me that isn't, it irritates me to no end, but it also affects my extended family. My cousin, who's a real estate agent, she's had a good track record of making good money for herself. She's been selling houses in the San Bernardino area, and unfortunately, because of this virus, it's made a big impact for her life. And so, she's having hit by it. I'm getting hit by it by having to work a little bit more hours to get more extra money to support myself, as well as my family, my immediate family more specifically. And and it's that sort of thing where it's made life a little bit more harder for me, but I'm still kicking. I'm still, living my life as usual. I still gotta deal with everyday things. So really, for me, um, I don't feel stressed. I don't feel panicked. I'm just like, it's just another thing to deal with. But for me, I honestly, it's provided me a chance to where I can build my social skills to help people, stay calm, be positive, no, don't get all doom and gloom because of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Because I work with a lot of people at my job. I work with older people. I work with younger people, all ages, all generations, and I try to uplift their spirits to where they don't just see this as like the end all be all, like the end of the world sort of thing.
Yeah, and one, thank you for doing that. That's a great thing, trying to be positive. Two, for those of you who are listening, who find yourself in that sort of situation, don't be afraid to reach out to people. I spent some time talking to my wife today about some frustrations that I've had. And I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to be upbeat, but sometimes you have to say, listen, I need to take care of my own mental health. I need to voice some of my concerns and my worries. Sergio, especially, when you're supporting that many people, don't be afraid to take the weight off your shoulders and let someone else, share the burden with you a little bit sometimes if you need it, because your mental health is just as important to those people as theirs is to you. So I'm trying to get a fellow named Danny Kirchard to jump in. Danny is a big Bama fan, so I'm not sure how exactly that'll work, but he did ask if things were clothing optional. So if he does show up, don't be shocked, and you might want to avert your eyes for a moment.
Okay.
So you're good. Go ahead. You had a comment, Sergio?
Not really, no. I guess one thing that really has bothered me is because, considering now in my state we're actually, we're instructed not to have mass gatherings like every other state in the United States. It has made me feel, very saddened to the fact that I can't even go to church, and I feel very happy being in my church family. And
Yeah.
it really bums me out not getting the chance to physically attend service with my pastor, with my brothers and sisters in Christ, all that. It just makes me feel, really saddened to not even talk to them physically. I gotta rely on. Right now, we're actually doing Bible studies via Zoom. So we're me and several other individuals in the church. We now have to rely on Zoom, and to me, it's not the same. It's not the same as actually having an actual physical conversation with people that you love and care for.
Yeah, we're in the exact same situation. We're doing small group studies. We're by Zoom. We're doing services by livecast. We actually had with the tornado that we had here and the trees down, a little bit of cleanup that we had to do. A couple of guys from church that were currently unemployed and looking for the opportunity to make some money came out to help with that, and I was very grateful to be able to have them here to help and to be able to help them in return. But it was really, really hard because one of the guys that came out is my friend John, and we went on a missions trip to Vanuatu last year, and ever since then I see John, I give John a hug, and he came out to help, and I took a step towards him, and I'm like, I can't. The first time in a year that I've seen him and not given him a hug, and it was really, really hard. So yeah, it's absolutely it's a rough situation all around. Even if you don't normally consider yourself to be an extrovert, it can still be a rough situation. So how about you, Mike? How is this affected? Did I already ask you this? I think
we went over.
I got a little distracted. I'm trying to keep things.
Autism and all that. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the steak salad for dinner that's starting to actually induce sleep hormones. So that's how you know it was a good one. Okay, so next question for you guys is what have you seen in your communities? Is there anything that you have been doing to help your community, or anything that you've seen, interacting with the people as you're out and about, that you can say, you know what, this is something that's actually been a positive, or is a good thing to see people doing? And we'll start with you this time, Sergio. What do you think?
Well, when it comes to community-wise, what we've done in my hometown is we actually use the fairgrounds that's not too far from my home. We've actually used that as a makeshift field hospital for the people who have been affected by the virus. And so far, it's been working very well. We actually have the National Guard helping out with delivering medical supplies to those who have been infected by the virus. Because we have a hospital, JFK Hospital, not too far from where I live. It's getting packed, and now we're resorting to the fairgrounds, which is pretty big. Now we got to use that as a means to help those who are infected by the virus. And so far, it's been working very well. Hopefully, it won't get any worse in my end. Other than that, I don't really have much of a comment to or any further to comment about that.
Now, this is interesting. I know here in Pennsylvania, uh, Western Pennsylvania, things seem to be working out in terms of flattening the curve, right? We're seeing, at least as far as I understand it, we've got hospitals that aren't anywhere near capacity, thankfully. So it's interesting to hear from different part of the country where you're actually you are having to deal with that issue. Probably, I'm guessing a little more dense population out where you are. Though I think New York right now is probably the hardest hit with their mass transit and just the general population density there.
Yeah, actually, the funny thing is here in the Coachella Valley, which is made up of several different cities, India is actually the most highly populated. We actually have about 80-something thousand people, while everybody else is more of the 40, 50,000. And because of our high population density, we are basically trying to mitigate the situation that's going on in our city to where we're having to use alternative sites to where we can treat those who are infected, and because of that, we've had to, rely on federal aid, like that of the National Guard or not. That's not federal. I'm sorry. That's more of a state. But I mean, right. We've had to have outsourced help outside of our city to help those who are getting infected right now by the virus. And again, we have to use different sites instead of traditional hospitals, because we do have hospitals throughout the entire valley. We have we have hospitals in I think 2 big ones in I think it was actually one in La Quinta and one in Palm Desert, the Eisenhower hospitals. And so we've had people having to we've had people trying to get help in those hospitals as well. And and they're trying to outsource more help within the state so that essentially we're not overrun with more cases.
Gotcha. And how about you, Mike? What have you seen going on in your area, in your community, with the people you interact with day to day?
Well, I've seen a lot of people respecting the social distancing.
Yeah,
that's in some of the county I live in, Marion County. We have 42 cases. And I think we've had something like 1 or 2 deaths. So have been designated a hot spot by our governor. So we have to follow slightly different rules than some of the other counties in West Virginia. So, for example, when we go to our local grocery store, which is Food Line, which is right up the road, they have the little arrows set up, go this way. It's almost like Chutes and Ladders or Candyland or something as you go through there. So you see a lot of, and I've seen a lot of people, in masks, wearing gloves, a lot of people sanitizing gas pumps, things of that nature. And I've seen a lot of, the traffic is definitely down. I cover 9 counties for my company, so I'm out on the roads quite a bit. And I'd say traffic's down probably well over 50%. I'd say 50 to 60% at least, which is good to see that people, are following what's being asked of them, as inconvenient as it is. I mean, a lot of the local restaurants have adapted as well. They're offering takeout, trying to stay open. Some restaurants have closed down completely and don't know whether or not they're going to open back up. Some have closed down completely and are never going to open back up.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to make a concerted effort, my wife and I, to eat out locally at least 1 or 2 times a week. Since fortunately we haven't had too much of an economic impact. Both of our jobs are have been declared essential, so we have a steady income, so we're able to afford that a little bit and help out.
Yeah, we've made an effort to do the same, which is really interesting for me. I thought my wife would be a lot more excited about, hey, yeah, we're gonna eat out. But sometimes I have to remind her, no, let's not, this, we're gonna go out to Matt's Sub Shack and get something from there. And like you said, there seem to be some places that have really adapted well, and they seem like they're going to weather it. There's others. We just got a report today, just before I came on with you guys. The original hot dog shop down in Oakland, which was where I went to school, down in Oakland, outside of Pittsburgh. Really popular shop with college students. Obviously, lost a lot of their business, and they've announced that they're going to close down. So that's iconic. It's been around for, I think, 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
So it's definitely, we're definitely starting to see, I think, an economic impact. I had a lady by the name of Sarah Sangwin on a couple of nights ago. She's a mortgage loan officer, and she was talking about what they're seeing in terms of just changes in the various regulations that keep getting thrown out for dealing with mortgages. I mean, literally changing from day to day, where you might be okay if you sign right now, but if you wait until this afternoon and talk it over with your wife or your financial advisor or whatever, and come back, the rules have changed, and no, they're saying that you can't have a mortgage. So it's really kind of scary thinking about what's going on economically now. We're not quite sure what the long-term impacts are going to be, which kind of is a nice segue into the last round of questions, which is, what do you think we've done right in this situation, and what do you think we've done wrong? And by we, I mean either your local communities, your state government, the federal government, you personally and your family. Pick whatever answer you'd like to focus in on, and we'll go ahead and start with you, Mike. What have we done well, and what have we done poorly?
Well, it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, after sitting at this point in time. I think some of the things that we've done well, at least in my area, is we've taken what the governor's requested of us, to heart. We seem to be following the rules and guidelines they've set forth without a whole lot of resistance. In our local community, county-wise, our county health commissioner is really good. He's been updating his website, as information's become available. Nationally, like I said, it's easy to kind of look at things and Monday morning quarterback it. When did we know? How did we know it? Et cetera, et cetera. So, nationally, I don't know. I think we probably could have done a better job not poo-pooing it, nay-naying it so early, and maybe getting some information, maybe more rapidly at the beginning. But again, it's like shifting sands with this thing. When it first started, it was nothing. Now it's something. Now it's not so much nothing. All the models seem to be, missing their targets. So, I don't know. I hope if there's a next time, we're a little bit better prepared, at least at the national level. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, this is well. You look back at SARS and MERS and everything else that's come through, and it's pretty obvious that this sort of thing is going to happen again. It's when I looked at it, I think in the last 2 decades, there's been at least 10 or 11 different viruses that have just popped up and spread, and that's something we need to learn to deal with. And obviously, I'm really hoping, and I think it's going to turn out that this is not nearly as bad as we thought it was going to be. But I'm also fairly confident that it's not going to be as minor an issue as we hoped it would be. We are going to be dealing with some, obviously, Sergio was talking about some problems with hospital capacity. We're going to be learning some things. I was talking to someone yesterday who works for a health system here in Pittsburgh, and they mentioned that when everybody had to go from working in the office to working at home, that the hospital itself had some serious technology issues, just in terms of, hey, how do we get 5,000 people, or 10,000 people coordinated so that we're not crushing our network, because we're not, they're a hospital. they're not a technology company. They don't have high bandwidth fiber all over the place.
Yep.
So they had to make some adjustments and learn some things fairly quickly just to keep operating. So Sergio, how about you? What do you think we've done right, and what do you think we have done wrong?
Well, when it comes to in my state more specifically, I would say that when it comes to doing what's right and wrong, let me just start with the wrong. I would say that first and foremost, with my governor Gavin Newsom, he decided to release prisoners from the jails, especially those who have committed violent crimes, just so that they would have prevent any further spreading of the virus into the prisons. But the thing is with certain prisons that have no actual reports or any confirmations of cases, they are still ordered to get the prisoners out. And so when you have prisoners that actually have a violent record off on the streets or wherever they are now, it's going to cause a lot of problems because even though granted, yeah, I mean, and the problem is law enforcement may not be that very effective because again, even with officer safety, whatever, they themselves are ordered to try to keep contact at a minimal, especially when it comes to engaging any potential suspects that could be infected with the virus. And so, let me just bring up one story that happened here in my county, Riverside County. One of the deputies that serves within the Riverside County Department, he unfortunately died from COVID-19 problems, and so I think, and because of that, I feel like law enforcement, whether it be county level, city level, whatever the case may be, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if they ordered to not engage people who could be potentially be suspected to be a virus holder, especially even if it's somebody who has who's potentially dangerous. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd be ordered to be standing down just so that they can provide officer safety towards any law enforcement officers that could be out there right now. And but for my community, what we've in my hometown more specifically, what we've done right, of course, is try to use any resources that we have at the ready, because again, with the fairgrounds that's right within the heart of the city, we've used that to as a makeshift field hospital to help those who are currently infected. And that's something I feel like, at least locally speaking, we've done right. And funny thing, actually, let me just share a little story here. So when it comes to my state government, uh, they honestly responded in a way that feels very, oh, shall we say, like a massive clusterfuck, if you catch my drift. And so, yeah, I'm not trying to
Probably
curse here because
Foxtrot,
I don't.
yeah.
Yeah, clusterfuck. I'm not trying to, make this into our plus 18 kind of thing. No, but I'm just saying that it just feels like they kind of went a little. They just kind of went all over the place with this.
Yeah.
But my hometown, they actually responded very properly, very efficiently. Now, on the other side of, like, let's say, for instance, like the state of Arizona, with my friend who lives in Tucson, his state government, properly, responded without any draconian or not too draconian laws. With Governor Ducey, he actually has had some leniency with his stay-at-home orders, not as draconian here as here in California. But in his city, the mayor, who is a strong left-leaning Democrat, has decided to pretty much try to shut down almost everything, including
Right.
even the essential businesses, just so that they can prevent the virus from spreading. But even then, still, that's very, very incompetent of her just for doing so. So the funny thing is, we had a conversation about this. I said to him, it's kind of ironic that my state government acted incompetently, but my local government acted, proficiently. But with him, his state government, acted proficiently, but his local government acted very poorly. So it's both funny but sad at the same time,
Yeah.
bringing that up.
You would rather see some sort of competency the whole way down. I know in Pennsylvania, we've got Governor Wolf here, and I think he's done. And this is probably some people are going to to be shaking their heads at this. I think he's done a decent job. I think there's a lot of things that he needs to be reevaluating. One of the things I mentioned earlier today is we need to remember that there's military. They've got something they call the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act. And it's supposed to be an iterative process. And I feel like that they observed and they decided, and now they're acting. What can we do more? What can we do more? What can we do more? Instead of circling back and saying, has this really been a benefit? Has this had a good effect? Closing down clothing stores and shoe stores and specialty stores because they're non-essential, and then forcing all the people that would have gone and dispersed to one or two people to these various stores to all go to Walmart and congregate with everybody else. Is that a good thing? Is that going to work? So I think I do appreciate our county, Allegheny County, I think has been done a pretty good job. I really do appreciate the health department here. Very early on mentioned that getting out and getting some sunshine, practicing social distancing, but going for a walk is something that is good for your physical health. It's good for your mental health, and we've been taking advantage of that as much as we can. So, last question for you. I told you that the what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong was the last question, but I'm going to pop a surprise one for you. And this is something that friends have started talking about, which is when all is said and done, when we finally say, yeah, okay, we flattened the curve, this is enough, we need to start ramping things up. Folks, you need to get back to work. People, you need to get back into building the economy. Where are you going to go out to eat first? So we'll go ahead, Sergio. Where are you going to go? What do you got on the plate, and or looking forward to having on the plate?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, aside from what I want to eat out to, or where I want to go to eat, I mean, first and foremost, when this is all over, I'd be happy to go back to church with my church family again. That's one thing. I would just love to have a conversation with my pastor and my elders again, in face to face once more. But as where I want to eat, I mean, there's a really good Mexican restaurant not too far where I live. So I would like to go. It's called Mariachis. I love the atmosphere there. They got a very friendly staff. They have authentic cuisine. They also have like very lively music always playing in the background. And so it's up. I love it there, and I honestly have, we always talk to the servers. They're very nice. And so really, I think that probably might be the first place I might go there as soon as it's all over, pretty much.
Yeah, I need to ask my daughters. We've got a Mexican restaurant here. My youngest daughter really loves Mexican food, which is odd. She's Chinese, but she likes spicy stuff, and I took her out to a local restaurant, and she got mad at me. She's like, Dad, why have you never taken me here before? So I think I know where I'll take her when things get settled out. And Mike, last question for you: where are you going to go get something to eat when all this is done?
Well, that's a good question. It's definitely going to be a steak, and that much is for sure. And I wouldn't mind making the trip up to near your neck of the woods, up to Pittsburgh, to the Lamont.
Oh yeah.
And have just a full-blown soup to nuts kind of meal.
Oh yeah, that would be. My wife, if you're watching this, forget that he said that, because we're gonna go out for Mexican. So
hey, fair enough. They do what you do, you, as they say.
Yes.
It's gonna be just fine. Just to go out to a restaurant, really, at this point,
yeah,
would be a treat.
Even if it's just to go sit at the local sub shop and watch people come by and talk to people and say hi, it'd be awesome. Yeah, it absolutely would be. Anyways, guys, thank you both for taking the time and coming on. I really appreciate it, and thank you for sharing your perspectives. It's great to hear we've heard from truck drivers, we've heard from farmers, we've heard from city council members, we've heard from business owners. Hearing from folks that are out there serving their communities still, even with all this going on, is it's a real pleasure knowing that people are still working, people can count on you, and that honestly makes me think that this isn't quite as bad as it seems. It's a reminder that things are a little weird, but we're going to get through it. So thank you guys for being on tonight. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, same here.
Okay.